Bonolo, thank you very much for your time. I know you've been running around the whole day, but I appreciate that you are able to give us a few minutes. Can you please tell us about the tournament that has been hosted here? What was the motivation behind it and what it seeks to achieve?
I always tell people that we haven't actually had time to measure how far our women's football has gone here in South Africa in terms of checking Sasol league teams and national league teams. Then that's where we can actually get as to how far have we gone in terms of development and procession. So that solely inspired me in trying to measure that through having a pre-season tournament. We haven't actually had a tournament whereby National League and Sasol teams are playing competitively. So I took this platform to say, can't we have a top 8 tournament where we are basically going to link Sasol teams and national teams? Because in reality, ever since the inception of the National League, we haven't seen any link between Sasol League teams and National League teams. So this was solely a developmental program to say, can't we also have an initiative where we're going to link these Sasol League teams and National League teams? And most of the players have been hungry to actually get game time. We know that before a season commences, there are changes in terms of technical, in terms of new players. So I was also trying to give a platform to to those changes, basically, especially for the technical, to see how far they have gone in terms of introducing changes to the new teams, and for them as individuals to adjust to the new environment and new teams.
Having seen the games today, what do you think of the level, or is there too much a gap between the National League and Sasol?
There's none. I'm actually impressed by the Deep Sleuth ladies. I want to pinpoint them especially because they actually replaced First Touch, which is playing in the National League, but their hunger, the way they actually fought, you can tell that a league is just a hierarchy, but in terms of performance, they are more or less or equal. To me, what I saw today is equal. It's just that in terms of profession, they are only getting there. But when it comes to performance, I think it's equal. But what I actually realized at the same time is that Sasol teams still respect the National League teams. If they can just remove that, I think we are good to go.
Having been someone who's very passionate about women's game, what do you think of the progress that we've made over the years up until to where we are now? Are we doing enough? If not, what needs to be done to speed up the progress?
In terms of quantity, I won't lie, we have a very large number of female footballers playing football now in South Africa. It's amazing. The number of clubs are extremely growing as well. But in terms of performance, I always measure our procession through quality. I prefer measuring that through quality versus quantity, because we can have a large number of players playing, but when it comes to performance inside the field of play, they are not producing. Another thing that I've also observed is that we lack basic administration skills as women's football in South Africa. We need to have those capacity building programs where we capacitate coaches, where we capacitate team managers, where we got administrators, where we're going to teach them actually how to run their team or turn their teams into profession. I think we have concentrated more on growing the number of players other than converting what we are already having into a brand or into a quality. So if we can actually start making use of what we have and try to grow it in terms of being professionals or into being brands, I think we can go somewhere.
As someone who organizes a tournament, a tournament can only be successful when we are able to attract sponsors.
Yes.
How difficult for you was to get the sponsors that were here today?
Look, it's really amazing as to how far women's football has gone in terms of selling itself. I think we can do more. It was a little bit difficult in terms of convincing sponsors to come on board, because women's football has been perceived as one service that cannot produce income. or cannot bring income, or cannot market. Because obviously, if you are saying More Fire come on board or Gauteng Department of Sport come on board, they are expecting that at least there should be a millage from that. So it's always questions to say, what are we going to get from this? We know women's football is not organized. They're not going to give us anything in return. You need to still convince people to say, give it a benefit of the doubt. I have these certain teams. We are hoping that, okay, if I bring a certain team, a well-known team, maybe it can give a potential sponsor a benefit of the doubt that they can attend, because those brands, they normally check which teams are actually coming to participate. Therefore they can say, okay, let's give it a try. So it wasn't easy on this one, especially here in Tembisa. We haven't actually had a tournament that is solely about women's football in a while. We had them previously, but now post COVID, it hasn't been easy. So this one was a first in a while tournament. So everyone was skeptical, but they said, why not?
Last one, there's always an ongoing debate about compensation for male players versus women. What do you think needs to be done to bridge the gap?
Professionalize the teams. Professionalize women's football in South Africa. One thing that people do not understand is that the current Hollywoodbets National League is not professional. It's not professional. Again, one thing that people do not know that is going to scare people, I'm the brains behind the current National League. I know everything about the National League because I'm the one who presented it to Maria Ledwaba. For the league to actually take place, it was because of me. So I know very well that the current league is not a national league. Most of the teams out of, we had 14 teams last season, we're going to have 16 teams now. Out of that 16 that is going to be playing next season, I think 2 or 3 are still paying players. And with that, they're not even getting enough money. It's peanuts in short. So we still have a long way to go. We need a professional league. We urgently need a professional league. And for that national league to take place, it means PSL teams need to start forming teams. We need Orlando Pirates on board. We need Kaizer Chiefs on board. We have seen what Mamelodi Sundowns have done. They were here today. Celtic as well. TSR Galaxy also have a team. But we also need other PSL teams and even Clat Africa teams to come on board so that our players can start being compensated. Because it's very difficult for a female athlete to work 8 to 4 job and then come back to play football. And in that essence, we are losing many players. People are not aware that we are losing many players because most of the players now need to go and work 8 to 4 jobs. So we really need to start having a professional league. As I said, the current league is not a professional league. It's a merely national league. It's an upper level from the Sasol league, just to keep the Sasol league going. We need a professional league urgently. And it needs to be isolated from the current custodians and the current Premier League. If we can have a standalone professional league that is solely run by women, I think we can go far. Because there's also an argument that the reason why we are currently not having a professional league is because of who's currently the custodians and the current PSL not coming on board in terms of forcing their PSL teams to have teams. I think that as well has had an impact. So we need our leaders to sit down and find ways to see how can they actually make sure that we have a professional league. The sad part of it also is that we have females who are leaders. And it seems like they haven't been vocal in terms of forcing our male leaders to having this professional league. So it's up to our female leaders currently to actually try that. They convince the current male leaders to have a professional league. Other than that, over the years, we're still going to have another decade, or you will be asking the very same question a decade after. So we need to take a stand on that. And precisely this is one of those initial stage where we are saying we're trying to profile or promote women's football, to say we are ready to get compensated for what we've been trying to do over the years.
Bonolo, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate the effort and the time that you are putting into the women's game. May you continue to do such initiatives going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for hosting us today.